In the field of farming, the main enemy of farmers is the pests in their crops being destroyed even using various chemicals. What if the class of pests that consume their crops is not just a waste of being rid with chemicals? Such a case in Australia with a class of pests that had redeemed their crops, and this was also the point of a strange war. What is the cause of this pest's attack, and how did they destroy it? But before that, if you are new to this channel, hit that like, subscribe, and notification button to be more updated about life amazing stories. In 1932 in Australia after World War I, here, the government provided lands to discharge veterans that would be their main source of income after they provided service for their country. But the same year, Australia was in the middle of the Great Depression, where their economy was declining, and the most affected were the farmers, and it included former servicemen during the war. The farmers doubled their effort on farming like wheat crop, which is made of flour and other plants that can be exported overseas, which will help to increase their country's dying economy. Wheat crops were carefully planted, and as a shield on the rabbits and rats, they surrounded the wood fence with their vegetation, but associated with planting were the pests that destroyed them. During this time the insect was not usually destroyed in the peasantry, but a large number of emu traveled from their country's dry part to the coastal area. They will live after their mating season, but unfortunately as these emu travel, they are attracted to the wet soil and the flowing water from the irrigation that flows into the farmer's crop. Consequently, the strange pests that will destroy the crops have arrived. The emu are of the bird class that does not fly. They are like ostrich because they have a long neck with a high elevation of 6 feet and have a long leg that can run up to 40 miles per hour. Usually, emu are found in the watery part of the Australian country. Emu love to eat plants and insects and deliberately eat greedily because of their size and in the rare case of the strange bird that is also known as their national bird. It starts with the attacks of 20,000 emu in the peasantry that wooden fences were destroyed, and here they gradually redeemed the crops and the rabbit also scoured the farmers' plants. Gradually the plants were depleted, the emu spread quickly in the area as they broke apart. From different groups, each group of birds also has a leader who leads the way in entering the gardens and destroying the wooden fences. It didn't take long for many farmers to be concerned about these dangerous birds, so before the birds finally scooped their crops, they had already taken action. They approached their government and many suggested they would bring it to the Ministry of Agriculture. But, since most farmers were former soldiers, they were better off approaching the military, and there they told of their unique planting experience due to the visit of the unexpected pest. When they reached George Fear's complaint, the Ministry of Defense immediately acted on the military, and here they declared war against the emu, their national bird. But not the least, this war is not easy, because many objects to the action chosen by the military justifying others is not right to consume a lot of birds that are recognized as their country's national bird. It was a class of animal cruelty, many of whom objected that George Fear still continued their action. Before they proceed, the farmers make an agreement from here stating that the military responds in exterminating the birds. They must shoulder their lodging, the food and drink of the military while they are on a mission, and the ultimate is to buy the ammunition that soldiers will need for extermination of the emu. Because of the fear of consuming their crops, they have already agreed to the military in this condition. So, in October 1932 the military was sent to assist the farmers under Major Meredith's leadership, Sergeant McMurray, and Sergeant Gunner. They started the operation with 2 machine guns and 10,000 bullets spinning the towns affected by these emu birds. But in the middle of their operation, heavy rain suddenly poured out, and because of this, birds spread around Western Australia. This rain lasted and ended only November 2, 1932. When the rain stopped, immediately the soldiers returned to their operation, and their first mission was to get nearly 100 emu, which they would take to town to benefit from. The skin and fur of emu are used in manufacturing feather hats. Meanwhile, in the town of Campion the soldiers threatened about 15 emu in the vast land, and as soldiers approached them, they all suddenly shot emu, but the birds quickly ran and went in different directions. Unfortunately, almost 1 dozen of the emu were killed, so at the first meeting between soldiers and the emu, The emu won their first fight. November 4, 1932, when emu and soldiers reunited their path, Major Meredith and the soldiers slowly went through the dam where they reached about 1,000 emu drinking, and they were still winding down the dam. Because of the previous confrontation, the soldiers learned that the right ambushing the emus, they approached the birds' position unnoticed, and they were well positioned to shoot them. But in the middle of their attack, suddenly the two machine guns busted for emu again to escape. The second confrontation between emu and the soldiers, emu won again. Thus, Meredith surrendered the fight. On November 8, 1932, 6 days after their operation, Fear stopped because of the shame he received that the news had reached the newspaper that only a few birds had been destroyed during their operation. On the other hand, the emu continued to destroy the farmers' crops, so again they approached the government for help. On November 13, 1932, the soldiers returned, and this time they successfully reduced the population of pests. It is estimated that up to 300 emus are killed each week more compared to their previous operation of Major Meredith. But the second operation did not take so long, since the 10,000 bullets were consumed when soldiers killed just over 1,000 from 20,000 population of the emus. Therefore, the third time the emu won against the military. Again, because they will continue destroying the peasant crop, the government helped the farmers by making high steel fences that will confront the emu so that they will not be completely destroyed. 2 years passed, and it was 1934, the government announced the reward to whoever can bring them emu. And this is one of the most effective solutions to exterminate emus, because they immediately reach 50,000 emu. But emu are now protected from the disease and prohibited from killing them. But not forgetting, in the Australian country, they once became enemies because of the simple living-seeking farmers there, in the wake of these unexpected pests. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to more updated with life amazing stories.